Hello everyone, thank you for all your questions. I've organised the questions roughly from software related to more personal to story, then inspiration related at the end, just in case you want to skip to a certain topic that interests you more. Okay, I'll get to answering them right away. So, Edit Buzzback asked a few questions. So you wanted to know what inspired me, which software I used to make the game, and a brief description of Nora's personality. I'll answer the inspiration one at the end with the other ones. Okay. So for the software I used to make my game, for the game engine I'm using Unity. I also have this really fantastic plugin called Adventure Creator. It's a toolkit that makes building point-and-click style games just so much easier. It has visual scripting, which is really great for me because my strengths lay more in like art, the art area of games, than coding. I also use Photoshop to draw all my graphics and some hand-drawn animations. I'm currently using After Effects to do my animations as they are sprite-based, though this will be changing in the future if I make another game. I'm looking at learning how to do skeletal animations in software like Spine or Live 2D that I discovered thanks to one of your helpful comments. Thank you so much. And for Nora's personality, she is curious. She's a bit naive due to her growing up in a very secluded town, sort of cut off from the rest of the world. She's also a bit cheeky too. So Nearsighted Narwhal wanted to know what I use to draw everything for my game. So to draw, I use Photoshop. I also have some wonderful brushes to help make my art look just a little bit more interesting. I use the Kyle's Brush Mega Pack, and I mainly use the Impressionist brushes to draw the graphics for Allogloom. I really love the rough edges and texture the Impressionist brushes have. I also sometimes use the spatter brushes to add more texture by sort of grunging an item up like a metal object or like the ground or a wall. Yeah, it just makes it look really, really good. And what I use to draw. I use a Wacom Cintiq. I bought it when I was a student. I've used it probably nearly every day for around 8 years now. It's actually got like a big burn mark on the screen from like drawing so often. Yeah. Okay, on to Nirvana Nurture's questions. What kind of personal jump was needed for me to build the confidence for game design? So to answer what pushed me into solo game development, well, it's a lot of little things really. I was doing lots of contract work after I'd finished studying, so like illustrating, teaching here and there, and bits of video editing. But I wasn't really finding fulfillment in what I was doing. But I'd learned a real hodgepodge of creative skills, so it turns out that's really good if you want to make a video game on your own. At the end of that question you also asks, does it include just the art and the coding as well? Basically, I had to learn so much, and I'm still learning as well. I had to learn how to draw so much better, because drawing digitally was still fairly new to me. I'd always just sort of drawn with a pencil or paper. What else? I had to learn how to animate better as well. This is an area that I'm still trying to improve on because my animations are not quite where I'd like them to be, but I'll get there. Also, I'm using visual scripting, which is really, really good because I don't have a super strong coding background, but it did help that I did know like basic coding before starting, because yeah, the visual scripting, if you know basic coding, it's just really easy to pick up. On to the rest of your questions. You asked, let's have a look. Do I struggle with the anxiety of wanting your product to be done sooner than later? What kind of drawbacks have I experienced in early development? Which was easier, making animating characters, writing, scripting stories with coherent plots, or maybe the coding? Okay, I'll get onto those. So first of all, funny you say how long things take. That was actually definitely part of the learning process on how to make a video game, especially on your own. Judging how long it will take to draw, animate, or even set up a scene is just something that I had no idea about early on in development, and it always takes longer than expected. So the anxiety of wanting to finish your product more quickly is always sort of there at the back of your mind, I guess when working on a big project, probably especially solo as well. It can be really easy to beat yourself up if something's taking a bit longer than expected or doesn't quite turn out how you expected. I guess because you're the only one working on it. But I learned that rushing things goes really badly because I'm always disappointed in the end result if I do this. So I'll just end up redoing it again. And that ends up taking even more time than if I just sat and done things carefully and thoughtfully. So yeah, you kind of just have to get used to living with that anxiety. Okay, so for drawbacks. A big one, and probably the biggest one I actually experienced, was learning just how to actually put a game together. You can have all the skills, like being able to draw graphics, write a story, design a puzzle, animate a character, but like it doesn't just magically turn into a game. So learning how to combine all those skills and actually make it into something that resembles a game and is coherent was a really big hurdle to overcome. There was a lot of learning that had to go on there to even like get to where the game is now. I guess another drawback I experienced for me, honestly, is learning how to use social media. I actually don't really use social media, and yeah, it's been quite nerve-wracking, but it's been great. Like, I've really enjoyed it. So early on in game development, when Allogloom was like in its infancy, I started using Twitter to try and share I guess my game development, and it got like super overwhelming as I just had no experience of being online. I learned that I wasn't ready to start sharing my game, and as the game was still in its infancy, so I just kind of disappeared. I had some anxiety that if I put something out there that didn't end up being in the game, that I would be like unintentionally misleading people about what my game is like. So I just, again, like just disappeared, and I just buried my head in developing Allogloom, and I just finally built up the confidence to start posting about it again. It also helps that I actually have like almost a full game now. It's in playtesting and polishing, so I have a lot more content to post. But yeah, so social media has definitely been like a really big one as well. I guess this one sort of counts as a drawback as well. But it was learning how to make puzzles, because you know I'm making a puzzle game. So I love puzzle games, but making puzzles is really tricky. Even for more casual style puzzles like Allogloom will have, especially when you have no experience making them. It definitely took me a little while to come up with a formula on how to design puzzles for my game. So on to your next question about what was easier while making my game. Definitely learning how to draw better, especially environments. I just love illustrating, and I love illustrating environments, especially inventory objects as well. It's been really, really fun to create environments for locations like Gruesome Grove in my game. I still have to work on drawing better anatomy for my characters though. That is an area I'm definitely still quite weak in. But yeah, environments are great. Love drawing them. On to more story related questions now. One from Ashtree. I'm curious about the story and how you go about writing it. My story planning starts off looking like a jumbled mess of notes and pictures. I like to draw bits of the story as well when I have an idea. I have a few notebooks that are just filled with story ideas. Then I go through the notes and I use the bits that I like and that connect well together, and I put them in chronological order and sort of discard the rest of it. Then I will refine further by seeing how I can make puzzles work with the story I have. Sometimes a puzzle I'm thinking of designing will also influence the story, because the puzzles are obviously very tied in with the narrative for Allogloom. On to the next one. Syzygy Somnia asks, will there be any Easter eggs or references to games or media that I enjoy? Yes, I do have a couple of sneaky references in there, but I won't give them away just yet though. Okay, so Squeaky asks, how many characters would you say are in the game? Oh, a rough number, as this could still potentially change before release, but I'm going to say there's probably around 20 characters in the game. On to Sadie's new ACC's questions. For one, will the crow that the grandma owns be important in the game? And two, what is the crown on Nora's head made of? Okay, so for number one, so this is Hopper. He is a red-tailed black cockatoo and he's Nora's family's pet parrot. He definitely gets up to a lot of mischief in the game. He does show up fairly frequently in a few of the chapters and features in a few of the puzzles as well. And for number two, her crown is made of golden leaves collected from a very special tree in Gruesome Grove. On to the inspiration questions. I'll be answering Edit Buzzbank's question about inspiration here, as well as Lamau B and Socks the Calico. So you all sort of asked what inspired me, how did I come up with the idea of Allogloom, what's the history behind it, and I will answer that in sort of one big lump. Okay, to answer all your questions about inspiration. So for inspiration, for the idea of Allogloom, it would be a combination of many things. So I love creepy stories, I love monsters, particularly body horror style monsters. I'm a big science fiction fan and I definitely have a bit of a dark sense of humour as well. So this was definitely the recipe that has inspired me to make Allogloom. Also my strengths are more on the illustration side, and that lends really well into making point and click adventure style games. It sometimes feels like I'm bringing an illustrated storybook to life when I'm making my game. So to go into it a bit further, I think that stories told through video games are probably my absolute favourite way to experience a story. I think that video games bring stories to life in such a unique way. You can really feel the consequences of your actions in video games. I grew up on Mass Effect. I still do a playthrough every year of these games, and this game made me fall in love with video game storytelling. Another game that I love is Dead Space. I really enjoyed the gory environmental storytelling of this game. The environments are just put together so thoughtfully. I have also always played 2D point-and-click adventure games as well. One I was particularly fond of as a kid was the Pajama Sam games. They're just delightful to play. So there will be sprinkles of inspiration from these things that I love in Allogloom too. So that's all the questions. Thanks so much for asking them. I had so much fun answering them. If you think of any more, I can always make another one of these videos, or I'm always happy to answer questions in the comments as well. Thank you so much. Goodbye.